Hello. Today our group will be presenting on cloning technology and the ethics that surround it. We will begin by explaining what this technology is and how it is used, then move into a discussion about the availability of this technology. After this, we will speak on the concerns surrounding cloning and where we believe the line should be drawn. Finally, we will end with informing you all of who is responsible for making decisions about this technology, along with what groups are for and against it.
Cloning is the process of producing identical copies of biological entities. There are two different cloning methods: embryo splitting and nuclear transfer. Cloning has been used to clone animals, for example, Dolly the sheep. Dolly was the first mammal cloned by fusion of a nucleus from an adult differentiated cell with an enucleated egg. She aged very quickly and had genetic abnormalities that were not seen in the sheep she was cloned from. The scientist took an adult cell, so all of the changes are passed on to the clone. There is no way to make an exact copy because genetics change as life changes. Endangered species have also been cloned with fertility to help preserve species, and cloning has been used to create fertile parents to create offspring livestock, which is legal. In addition, scientists cloned horses for the World Championship polo team.
Genetic cloning as a process is not available to the general public. However, the byproducts of cloning very much are. For example, there are lab-grown chicken nuggets available in Singapore, and various meat and dairy products here in the United States come from cloned animals. Many hope that we will be able to use cloning technology to produce perfectly matched organ transplants for the general public in the future, another possible use for cloning technology.
A major ethical concern for using genetic cloning would be the promise of genetically perfect transplant organs, allowing organ failure and transplant wait lists to become virtually non-existent. The concept for this has existed since 2005 in medical journals and has received nearly constant research and focus up until we proved able to clone human implantable cells, after which nobody has taken the step of actually implanting the cloned embryo. Additionally, there are concerns that cloning food animals may accelerate monoculture. This means that if a new pathogen infected the animals, it would wipe out entire herds, as they have no genetic diversity, as genetic diversity may allow certain animals to better protect themselves from the pathogen. It's possible that the line should be drawn at cloning animals, as cloned animals often have short, disease-ridden lives. It may be seen as unethical to bring a living thing into the world, knowing well that they will almost certainly spend a lot of their lives suffering. To argue the other side, we would never make advancements in our ability to successfully clone and make full use of cloning technologies without the ability to use and expand on our existing technologies. Also, there are animals cloned whose offspring are actively being used in the US for food with FDA approval. With these examples for and against animal cloning, coupled with ethical concerns of cloning, such as higher risk of wipeout of herds of animals, and the hypothetical promises of organ cloning that may never be delivered, the line may need to be drawn at dependency on cloning as one of our main means of production. As we know very little about the dangers of cloning, dependency on cloning may have negative effects that, without other means of production to depend on, may be disastrous.
In the United States, the rules and regulations surrounding cloning are governed by the Food and Drug Administration, as the main use that cloning technology provides us is breeding stock. Breeding stock is the practice of selective breeding, essentially taking two animals with desirable traits and breeding them to create offspring that has a high likelihood of possessing these traits. While selective breeding is often used in horse racing, along with other practices in which the goal is to create faster offspring, it can also be used to create offspring that are more nutritious for human consumption. As of 2018, the FDA's stance on the consumption of cloned animals and the offspring of cloned animals is that cattle, swine, and goat clones, and the offspring of any animal clones traditionally consumed as food, are safe for human and animal consumption. Due to the fact that a majority of cloning technology is currently being used to make copies of nutritious animals for human consumption, it is easy to see why the FDA makes the rules. However, even when cloning has to do with human organisms and not food-producing animals, the FDA still has governance over who can practice cloning according to the Public Health Service Act and the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act.
So there are obviously groups that are for or against using cloning technology. Some of them that are for cloning technology include the Food and Drug Administration, also known as the FDA. And when they heard about the possible successes and improvements to the quality of herds from the animal clones, they began to keep food from cloned offspring out of the food supply. However, they then proceeded to conduct an evaluation that measured the safety of food from these animals along with the risks. They concluded that meat and milk from cow, pig, and goat clones and the offspring of any animal clones are as safe as food we eat every day. Another group are some scientists, and some of them are interested in cloning animals, especially endangered species, in order to prevent extinction. They have cloned non-endangered animals such as tadpoles, mice, and even some horses. As discussed earlier, the most notable cloned animal is Dolly the sheep. These scientists are among many who hope to one day implement this cloning technology to help treat serious diseases such as heart problems, diabetes, and Parkinson's disease. They hope to remove stem cells from a cloned embryo and grow specific cells from them, which may give way to treatment for these diseases. So there are also some groups that are against cloning, and this is a more extensive list. But two of them that are at the top of the list are the Catholic Church and the American Anti-Vivisection Society. So the Catholic Church is adamantly against cloning because they want to maintain variability and have every species created by God rather than other measures, such as cloning technology. The Catholic Church believes that cloning is considered contrary to the moral law since it is in opposition to the dignity both of human procreation and of the conjugal union. On the other hand, the American Anti-Vivisection Society is opposed to animal cloning and is working to ensure that the threats that cloning possesses to animal welfare, as well as pressing moral and ethical questions related to cloning, are fully recognized and addressed.
Thank you for listening and watching our presentation on cloning. Now, here are our citations.